Hi guys, this is the advisor and welcome back to my channel. Today I have a very interesting case, and when I heard it, I had to actually Google the gentleman's name, the author of the letter, and I had to Google his name and did some checks on the internet to see if that place really existed and this person really existed, because I had to do some checks, because at first I thought it was just a hoax. But when I found out and did some checks and even make phone calls, I realized that yes, I had to make some calls, international calls. And of course, this was way back in 2019, late 2018, early 2019, can't even remember. But on the face of it, it may sound like an average case of paternity fraud. Or in Jamaica, we would say a woman give a man jacket. But there is a lot more to it this time. Yes, it's a woman give a man jacket, but if it was just like that, it would be okay. But what makes this situation extremely grave is that the child is ill and needed a bone marrow transplant that should have come from the father. And now they are realizing that the father is not the father. When they run tests to check compatibility, they realize that the father is not the father. And this woman who grew up in the church with her husband is in some problem. Anyway, here's how the case goes. This letter comes from a surgeon, a pediatric surgeon. He had gone to school. He had been childhood friends with this other gentleman. They went from primary school to college to university and up, and had remained friends. They were also in the same church. They are family friends of each other and attend the same church, and they are Christians and everything. And they both married to two lovely Christian ladies and all of that. And this was how their life has been. Well, the pediatrician who wrote to me, his friend is an engineer, and they both have two kids. Anyway, here is what happened. The engineer's son, at the time the engineer's son was about 5 years old. And from before the age of 3, he began battling a form of cancer. And with this cancer treatment, it would require a transplant of some bodily tissue from the father to the child. Well, the mother was first tested, and the mother was not compatible for some reason. And they tested the father, and only when this surgeon tested the father to see if the father was compatible, they realized that the father could not actually be the biological father of the child. Now, this child is sick, gravely ill, needed to recover, and it was this biological tissue from the father that would actually have a chance of curing the child, this healthy tissue from the dad. Well, the surgeon is in a bit of a quandary, because hold on, before we go any further too, this needs to be made clear, which make the situation even more extreme. The surgeon is the godfather of this little boy, and he has an attachment with this little boy. So you know that it is his interest in curing this little boy is not just as part of his training or profession. It's family. You understand? Anyway, he wrote to me because he needed to know how this could have happened. Because he says They both grew up in the church. They both took wives out of the church. He said why he find it difficult to believe is that his friend's wife's father is a pastor, and his friend's wife's mother is a deaconess in the church. They are both of a different church, but they, they interact as Christians. So he says that it took him so hard that when he got the test results, he actually packed up the samples and sent it off to another lab in another section of the country to have it retested, and it came back the same way. He said that he was still couldn't believe it, that he went out and he actually took samples again from the mother of the child and sent it off to see, because he was hoping against hope that the children was swapped at the hospital and that the mother is not the mother either. So that would somehow redeem the wife's good graces. But when he checked it out, the sample came back and said, yes, it is her biological child. So the father is not the father, but the mother is the mother, which means she was giving it away, or she had given it away, 100% sure. But he says that basically now he doesn't know how to break it. He's asking me whether he should break it to the husband or not, which is, of course, his friend. He said they meet up at church, and he hasn't been to church in a few weeks, because about 2 weeks, he said, at the time, because he just didn't want to meet with the man and say him anything. And he keep telling the man that the results are not back. And he doesn't know how far he can go with this, because he says that if he doesn't tell his friend and let his friend find out elsewhere, it will be on him, and his friend is going to be angry with him, probably hate him. It may end the friendship if he fails to say anything and let the matter drag. And if the matter does drag, a child's life is at stake. Here is what is important also, why the man has to know, even though he doesn't want to tell him. Here is why the man has to know. We must remember that the child needs the surgery. The child needs this tissue sample to be donated. And it has to come from the real father. They have to check the father for compatibility, because that's the only way of saving this child's life. So if he doesn't say anything, the child may die. If he says anything, he will be totally, it's already his godson, whether I like it or not. I am go sign all the documents when the child was being christened. So, and he has a bond with the child. So he is asking me, how he is supposed to approach this matter. Well, I am telling him plain that what I had told him at the time was hand over the whole case file to another doctor. If you haven't got another qualified person in that same institution, hospital that you are, then send the case file to another city, anywhere else, but do not keep that. Drop it like hot potato. And from you found out, you should have just dropped the case, put it in somebody else's hand, and act as if you did not find out, because let him hear it from somebody else, right? So what you once you drop that case, give your friend an excuse. Tell him that you are unable to take it any further. You need a more qualified specialist than yourself. So you're going to have to turn over the file to somebody else, who are more adept at dealing with matters of this kind than you. Then that person will break it to him in a week or two. Because what you need to say, you never saw the results of the test. Up to the time when you handed over the file, you had not seen the results of the test. And that is how you're going to get out of that. But please, don't say anything. Have whoever takes over from you be the one who break that news. And guys, one of the things I've always found amazing among Christians in particular is their gullibility. They can be so easily swayed and twisted when they want to be swayed and twisted. This man, despite all the evidence, he is trying to push back against the facts that he sees, because he actually sees that this woman has cheated, but he is willing to do any and everything to push back against it. You know, it's just the normal gullibility of Christians, but there you go. One of those things you normally have to contend with, you know. Well, that's as much as he can do, and he is doing this and do it quickly in the interest of the child. So that was my advice to him. Now, guys, just like, share, subscribe to the channel, and I'm going to check on a follow-up of how this case had gone, and I expect to post the results of the finding. I hope little boy had survived, and I'll see how the man had taken it up, how the man had taken the revelation, and I'll be posting it on here hopefully by early July, which is about a week from now. All right, thanks for listening.